Welcome to the Rose Maroc podcast, where we talk about anything and everything. Love, healing, growth, business, friendships, relationships, family, social and current events, fashion, entertainment. The list goes on. Look, we even got drama. Okay, we got the tea. I mean, if we don't, then we'll find it somewhere. Nothing is off limits. And so, what? We have limits? Why are you gonna tell me that when I'm trying to be professional? You see me doing this. What do we or don't we? Oh, okay. Well, look, I guess you gotta follow to know. Be sure to be in tune with two of the craziest cousins every other Friday. Pretty soon you keep on listening, we all gonna be family. And you know how it is when family gets together, especially the cousins. Check you later. So, Rose family, we are back with part 2 of episode 5, Trauma in the ER. If you haven't heard part 1, go ahead and go to our Instagram page, RFAR_POD. Click the link in our bio and go ahead and listen to part 1. I mean, listen to them other episodes too, but But anyway, so when we left off, Lauren was discussing how she, with her trauma, she then moved forward with not being able to verbalize. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, probably better now. How she did not verbalize to others how she felt or how they made her feel, because in her mind and how society views Black women, that we have to be strong and we have to be, I guess, quiet about certain things when it comes to our emotions, because we don't want to seem too emotional, because then, it's different. But Lauren, you were talking about how you then started going to therapy and you realized that that wasn't the way to deal with your trauma.
Yes. And one of the things my therapist said to me is vulnerability is a superpower. And I remember the first time I actually cried on therapy, I kept saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she was like, you don't apologize for that. You get what I'm saying? And we were talking about, I had dated this guy in my early 20s, thought I was in love. Come to find out he was dating 2 women, and he proposed to the other girl while he and I were together. And that really broke me. To my core. Like, it made me have low self-esteem. It made me angry. It made me bitter. It made me have trust issues. It just attached all this trauma to me. And because I felt like I needed to be a strong Black woman, I had to walk around like I was okay, like it didn't bother me. And I never verbalized, and I'm not just talking about to him, I never verbalized to anybody, I'm broken.
Right.
I'm not okay. Like, this is how this makes me feel. And so a year ago, I got into therapy, and I brought it up to my therapist, and I tried to scoot on past it. And she was like, no, back up a little bit. Let's talk about how that made you feel. And I'm just like, well, I mean, and I ended up crying buckets and buckets and buckets of tears because I had went so many years with that load attached to me. I was so heavy with the trauma from that relationship that it affected so much in my life that I did not realize. And I was able to release that. And that's when I found out, like, y'all, verbalize how you feel. Like Bianca spoke in the last episode, I'm gonna let you know how you made me feel. And I love that, and I wish that I guess it happened in the right time, but I wish that at that time I was brave enough to speak on how I felt, because I always felt like I had to put on a facade, like I was okay and I wasn't hurt. And it tore me down in the inside, I can't hear you. Hold on.
Girl, no, it's me. That was me.
Oh.
It was me. Okay. But no, I love that you brought that up, because you know how, once again, we are not psychologists, therapists, none of that, but we do like to do our research on things before we come on here and discuss them with you, especially things that are as serious as this. So I do like that you brought that up, because when I looked up how do you treat trauma, one of the main things was to resolve your unpleasant feelings and memories that you've long avoided. And so you pretty much said that when you were speaking to your therapist, you told her about what happened, but like you just kept on going with the conversation. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, we're gonna put a pin in this, and we're going to further discuss it. So I think since you had long avoided discussing that, you had all that pent up emotion, which that's another point on there about how do you treat trauma. You have to
Yeah.
discharge your pent up energy and your pent
Yeah.
up feelings. And then you
And
then have to learn how to regulate your emotions as well. Because like you said, there are triggers. Triggers
yeah.
will come. So then you have to learn how to regulate your emotions so that you don't put yourself back into that emotional realm of that trauma you experienced.
Yes, and let me pause you right there because for some reason it's making me a little like a little emotional because I never thought that like I would now that I'm looking back on it, right? I never
Hmm.
thought that like I would be that strong to release all of that because it
Right.
was so heavy on me. I'm sorry, y'all, that's my alarm. It was so heavy on me that I felt like I would never get it off.
Hmm.
And now that I did, I'm a better person. I'm a better friend. I'm a better everything because I don't have that stuff attached to me. So I'm just emotional because I'm proud of myself. Like I'm proud
Hmm.
that I was able to finally speak up because it really did break me. And I'm not getting emotional about that. I'm getting emotional about the person that I am now. Like I'm truly, truly proud of myself. And it makes me tear up because you learn so much about yourself over time. And it's like, you can amaze yourself sometimes. So I'm happy and I'm proud of myself for speaking up and getting that off me. Like I never actually sat and thought about like, girl, you did your big one. Like you really let that shit go. And I'm so proud of myself. So I was just over here getting a little emotional. Sorry, y'all. But
But I think that's how it looks when you work through it rather than just trying to get through it. I
yeah,
think that's what that looks like. You
yeah.
being proud of yourself. And it's okay. I don't think we as not just as women, but I don't think we as a people give ourselves props. I
Yeah.
don't think we give ourselves the kudos and the congratulations to ourselves for
Mm-hmm.
dealing with things that would have taken us down the wrong path, put
Mm-hmm.
us in the wrong state of mind. I don't think we give our own selves the pats on the backs that we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's key to dealing with your trauma. Once that you've worked through it, then congratulate yourself because nothing feels better than feeling good about yourself and the decisions you made. Now, girl, now I had dog, you had dogs, now I got dogs too.
Girl.
Okay, you must be talking to each other long distance. I don't know,
Right.
but but and another part of, and I want to bring that back. Another part of dealing um, with your trauma is having the ability to then trust people. And I know with a therapist, I know you would have to trust them because I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
about to tell you all in my business. I mean, I'm
Okay.
paying you this money, but I still need to trust you.
Okay.
But I'm glad that you were able to do that. I myself, I wouldn't mind going to therapy. I just feel like I wouldn't know where to start because every time you see it on TV, they've been going to the therapist for 500 years, and they just come in and be like, okay, so what happened now with James? And they just sit down on the couch and just go on about their business. I'm like, okay, but
So,
where did they
okay,
start?
so
Like, what's
so let me
James?
give you a tip. Let me give you a tip. And I know we're still talking about like how to deal with therapy. I mean, how to deal with trauma, y'all. But I'll give you a tip. When
Hmm.
I reached out to some therapists, what she did was she contacted me and she said, let's just have a 15-20 minute conversation on where you are in life, where you're trying to get to, some things that you may feel are holding you back, some things that you're trying to accomplish, some goals. And so we had a conversation and she kind of based our conversations and our treatments on that. And then
Okay.
and on what I'm looking for from a therapist. Because the one thing I said was, I just want somebody to listen to me. And so
Mm.
it didn't turn into, well, you should do this and you have homework. It didn't turn into that. She literally would sit there and let me just go. If I cried, I cried. If I talked, I talked. And I think that when you're choosing a therapist, it's good to like set what it is you're looking for out of therapy first. And so they go to the drawing board and then when they come back to you, they kind of prompt you to start off at a certain spot because they already have this background information and where you're trying to go. Do that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so she didn't
Almost
come
like
to
a
me.
roadmap.
Right. She didn't come to me with, so tell me about your childhood. She came to me
Right.
with, so you're telling me you're a 30-plus-year-old mom, you do. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think that made it easier.
And I think that makes it easier for me and hopefully for the viewers and listeners as well who haven't tried or done therapy but want to, because what they portray on TV, it may be like that, but it is like that when you watch it on TV and it's their first time. So tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your mother and father. When it's
Mhm.
like, no, let me tell you about me first.
Yeah. And
How you
then
gonna help me if you don't know me?
right. And then it were some situations that I talked to her about and she would say, well, what do you think that stemmed from? And then guess what I would say? Well, probably my childhood because, and then
That's how
we
you
would get
feel.
into all that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. I need to find me one. I want to find me one close to my age, and
Yeah.
no shade, but I do want to find a African American woman.
I
I
made
do.
sure I did want a black woman around my age because I felt like we could be relatable. And I also wanted a woman who was a believer in God.
Mm. So the same way you look for your doctors is the same way you look for your therapist.
And
So I know a lot of people.
the same way you look for your friends,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
But yeah, so that's just my tidbit. I think therapy is great. Um yeah.
So let's go to the part where you said about how you find your friends, because trauma will
Mm,
have you finding friends that's not your
mm.
friend.
Come on.
I feel like when you have trauma from, like, let's say within your family, when your family is not your family, you then go out and try to find friends to replace your family.
What type of
Um,
things when you say like when your family is not your family, do you mean like just the connections are the bridges are burnt or you just don't get along or you haven't met these some of these people or what do you mean like
I,
or
I,
just
I'm I think I mean as far as when you have the family in your household, but those traumatic experiences don't
okay.
cause you blood makes you family, but nothing else.
Okay, got you. Perfect.
So I think when you are seeking you may have a sister in the home, but she's not your sister. I feel
Mhm.
like you then, and once again, I'm just going based off of females. Because I'm a female, I can't really, say too much about the males. But we do have male followers and listeners, so you guys, we love to hear from you. But when you don't have that sister bond, because you both may have experienced something traumatic in the home that causes you both to go to your own separate corners, or you have a mother who may have experienced trauma in her life that
Mhm.
then goes down to how she then treats you, or whatever the
Okay.
case is. I'm just speaking hypothetically because I'm a writer. I can make up some stuff. Okay,
Come on.
so, so then you go off and you try to find those that's going to replace the actual family that you have, but not realizing that you're creating this connection based off of the traumatic experiences that you have within your own, and you're not realizing that these people may just not be your friend as you may think so, or
Mm.
you're putting too much responsibility on them, when no, I'm just your friend. I don't need to be around you 24/7. We don't need to talk all the time. Like, you're placing too much on individuals, and then let's just hypothetically say they choose to end the friendship, that then causes another traumatic experience in your life, because not only does my family don't want to deal with me, but now somebody on the outside doesn't want to as well.
So are you saying like we can go out here and become bonded to people through our trauma or um we're we're operating in our trauma with choosing these people to fill voids, certain voids or things that we're missing due to trauma.
Right. I think
Mhm.
it can be both. I think we are out here looking for individuals, like you said, to fill that void based
Mhm.
off of the traumatic experience we had. But I think so too, and I know y'all love this word, I think we create trauma bonds with
Mm.
individuals who may have gone through the same thing we have, and now we're
Mm.
connecting off of this trauma, but not realizing that's all we have in common. We're not really cool. You're not really my sis. You're not really my bro. You're not really fam. You're just connecting with me off of this trauma that we both experience, whether we experience it together or we
Mhm.
experience it individually, but we come
Mhm.
together based off of that. I can talk to you about this, or you may. know my triggers, or you may know that, oh, I only act this way because of what happened to me, and you're accepting of it, not realizing that
Mhm.
you're still causing me more trauma because you're not helping me through it, because you're still stuck in the same emotional realm as I am.
Ah, so you're like attached to that comfortability. I can't say that word. Y'all know what I mean. Um, you're attached to that. So if I have a fear of, oh, okay, let me stop right there. If I have the trauma, we'll just keep using the family one of I didn't
Okay.
have my siblings or dad or mom or whatever, and you have that same trauma. We
Hmm.
get together and we could just fit like puzzle pieces because we've known the same feelings, we've had the same emotions, the same grievances, the same arguments.
Right.
So it's like we connect. However, if we're connected off of trauma and you go to heal, then I'm not healed, then we're not connected anymore because the only thing that was keeping us
Right.
together was that trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
And some
now,
people,
if
go ahead.
if I'm the person that's healed, let's say me and you connect off of that. If I'm the person that's healed and you're not, then things that you may want to talk about, or things that you may want to involve yourself in, I don't want to do that because I'm no longer at that level anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I can
Mm-hmm.
either decide to remove myself from this bond, or if I really do want to see you win, and if I really do want to be your friend outside of this, then
Come
let
on.
me show you the way. Let me help you out as well. But
Mm-hmm.
then too, that then will show you what type of connection you really have.
Yeah.
Because some people are
I
not
like
ready to
that.
heal all.
And some people are not ready for your honesty. Some people are not ready for you to be like, girl, I come on now. We supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? Some people are not ready for that. And that's okay because everybody heals in their own time frame. But that's a
That's
big
true.
point that you bring up. Like sometimes, and I'm glad that, most of my connections friendship wise are people that's been since I was like single digits. So
Okay.
I haven't
Right.
gotten out here and connected with somebody. I will say like at one point there was like a friendship forming between me and another individual, and I kind of realized this person was like wanting to like put me in these positions. I'm like, you don't even know me to be saying I'm trying to say this as best I can. You don't even know
Right.
me to be calling me your sister. You don't even know me to be saying I'm your best friend. Like, so it's like
Right.
I realized this person is trying to fill a void and like putting me in a place where I don't belong in, which then,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it overwhelmed me. So I had to take a step back because I kind of noticed or saw a little bit of like maybe trauma or something like that. And I don't want to be connected to that. I'm not in that space anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I think trauma bonds, I think, me personally, I think it can be looked at as two separate ways. So we can look at it as the fact of bonding based off of a trauma and having that connection
Okay.
only because of that. But bonding based off of a trauma that we were both in at that point in time, and then growing from that and having that connection. Okay, so prime example, and we've talked about this before.
Hmm.
You and I met when both of our families were dealing with situations of finding somewhere to live.
Hmm.
So we met each other in our trauma because we
Hmm.
met at the hotel. But then
Hmm.
after that, we continued our friendship, but it wasn't based off of the trauma. We just met within that traumatic experience.
Hmm.
But from there, we learned more along the way that we still had another traumatic experience that we experienced together, but
Yeah.
not at the same time. And
Hmm.
so from then, we were able to connect more on a deeper level.
Yep.
But we, based off of the traumatic experience and the things that we've gone through, um, how we choose to now conduct ourselves, where we're now more thankful for the little things, and we know our wants instead of our, I mean, we know our needs versus our wants
Hmm.
because of that experience, and we can connect more based off of that.
Yep.
It's not more of a trauma bonding, it's just that we met each other within our trauma bond.
Yep. I love that. And I love that you specified that because there is a difference. And like we said, y'all, we not professionals or nothing like that. However, like this is just things that come up when B and I talk. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I do love that. And I feel like the more, and we've been friends all our lives and found out we was cousins and all that. But I think that this is the closest that we've been. I think
Right.
that this is the more connected that we've been. Just having these conversations, because we learn like how similar we are, but how very much different we are.
Right. Because
And I
although
think,
we met each other, we were apart and then we got back together and then we were apart.
mhm,
So we've met each other at different stages in our lives, but not forgetting as to how we met and what it taught us. So what we
right.
learned from our trauma, that's kind of I think what we connected more so on is what
Yep.
we learned from our trauma. Not the trauma itself, but what we learned from it.
And two, guys, we cannot let trauma be a crutch for us.
We can no longer
We,
be a victim.
we can't play the victim role. Like, um, I'm trying to find the right way to say certain stuff. I've learned as an adult things that I will try 100% my hardest not to let my son experience things that I've experienced in the past.
Mm.
Okay?
So like the lunch.
Right. And you
Yeah, I
can't
know what you said about that lunch.
you can't you can't you can use your trauma that way. Like, okay, I will make sure that I don't pass this trauma down. Or you can
Mhm.
use it as a crutch. And what we're not doing is using it as a crutch. Me and Bianca could sit here all day and be like, well, we were homeless as kids and be like, no, that's a part of our story. That is not the story.
Right.
It's just a part of it. So your trauma is a part of your story, but it doesn't have to be your identity. It doesn't have to be, I'm a brokenhearted woman. I'm a brokenhearted man. I'm a
Mm.
bitter man. I'm a bitter woman. I'm a bad father, mother, sister, whatever. That doesn't have to be your identity. And a lot of times we can allow trauma to attach itself to us. And sometimes that stuff got to come off with not only therapy, sometimes you got to pray, sometimes you got to get, I mean, it's so much that you have to do, but trauma is real. And
It is.
how you deal with that thing, I'm telling you, you cannot let that attach itself to you. That cannot be who you are.
So speaking of attachments and not realizing, we
Hmm.
talked about trauma bonds. We talked about them in friendships um and somewhat of a family. But we
Hmm.
do know that trauma bonds do make their way, and it's more universal in relationships,
Okay, yeah.
where you trauma bond with someone, and the thing I found out, and I thought it was kind of interesting, was that I thought trauma bond is I thought that I thought people connected, like, based off of a trauma that they experienced,
Hmm.
whether, like I said, whether it was together or separate. But when I did my research, they said that trauma bonding refers to a relationship a person has with their abuser. So
Mm.
it's not so much the trauma bonding of what you both experienced, but you're bonding with the person because they're the abuser and they're causing the trauma on you.
Mm.
So I always thought like, oh, I got with this.
Hold on, your sound went out.
Like,
All
I'm
right, y'all, we're
now.
gonna try to get B. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sorry, y'all. Okay, go B. You said
Yeah,
that
I have it right here.
you said that you
Yeah,
always thought.
I always thought it was like, okay, he doesn't have a dad, I don't have a dad. We can bond off of that, but it's not so. It's not really that. It's that
Okay.
you're bonding with your abuser that's causing the trauma.
Ooh, that's so weird, but it's
I was like, oh, it can work both ways, but I didn't know that that was really what it was.
okay. So tell me about that, because the way I'm thinking is like, okay, I beat you up, I buy you roses, you okay? I beat you up again, I buy you more roses, but you're kind of in that cycle, so you're kind of like stuck in that cycle, and so because this has happened, you're like, you get what I'm saying? Is that kind of what you're saying or no?
Right, it is.
Okay.
And it does say that this relationship is perpetuated by the cycle of abuse. Now, it can be between um, parent and child, family
Hmm.
members, kidnapper and captive, or like I said, with you and someone that you're in a relationship with.
Hmm.
Um, it can happen quickly or over time, depending on the severity of it.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of words, a lot of stages in trauma bonding. But one of the words that really spoke out to me, two of them, that we've seen a lot on social media, is the love bombing and the gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget. I think it was on our first episode where we were talking about um when people use words and don't even know what they are, and they just
Mm-hmm.
using it because they want to be a part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
personally never knew what love bombing was. Like,
Right.
I just was hearing it. I didn't know gaslighting. I didn't know none of that. I just knew that a lot of people were using it.
Mm-hmm.
But love bombing is pretty much when you first meet somebody and they're just mothering you with love, affection, gifts, compliments, and it's a way for them to hook you into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is before the trauma starts. They're just
Mm-hmm.
trying to, I guess so much read into who you are and see if you're accepting of these gifts and not asking for more. You know what
And
I'm saying?
basically, and you know what that kind of, and just kind of in layman's terms, to me, they want to see if you think shit's sweet. They want to see if you're the person that, oh, about all this, I love you. Oh yeah, because I don't be like, I'm always honest. And yeah, oh, I bought you roses today because I know you said your favorite color was red. Or I bought you this shirt because I know you like Versace or whatever. Kind of like
Mhm.
just pouring it on you, pouring it on you, pouring it on you. And to a person that's not aware, you like, oh, okay.
Right. And then after that, that's when the trauma comes, and then that's when the gaslighting comes into play, and they're making you feel as if. And I think what gaslighting was pretty much saying that if I come to you and like we said, I'm being verbal to you, I don't like the way that you're treating me. I don't like that you're doing this to me, and they're
Mm-hmm.
making you feel as if it's not a big issue, or you're making the issue bigger than what it is. And so
Mm,
that then puts you in a mind state of, well, maybe I'm not really, maybe I'm just making a big deal out of it, and
okay.
having you think that you're not being verbally, mentally, physically abused. So then the abuse then continues, and you're still stuck in this trauma, bonded with the person that's causing the trauma with you or to you.
Mm.
So I just thought that was, I was like, oh, that's what trauma bond. That blew my mind just
I
reading
thank
that.
you for sharing it because just like me and you was just sitting here saying, oh, we experience the same trauma, but a lot of times we can get things misconstrued and get terms and words and stuff misconstrued. And it's all about educating yourself, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I like that. And that is making sense now that you're saying that. And you know what else I will say too, that a lot of people think that when you go through a lot of ups and downs with a person, that makes your connection stronger. They think that it makes y'all have more history, so we should stay together. But
Hmm.
that's not the case. You know what I mean? Trump ups and downs is not abuse and cheating. Ups and downs is, oh, I lost my job. Can you hold it down for me?
Right.
Or hey, you have a ghost in your house. Bianca.
I know.
What? Anywho, but yeah, that type of deal. So, yeah, a lot of people think that a lot of trauma really is like history and we got to stay together because we've been through so much. No, you're going to keep going through it too. Even with a friendship, even with friendships. And and too, um, one thing we was talking about was forgiveness of people who have caused trauma knowingly or unknowingly. And you said something big the other day. You was like, forgiveness does not mean acceptance. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just because you forgive a person for what you went through doesn't mean, okay, well, I forgive you for hitting me, so we gonna get back together. No,
Right.
forgiveness is not acceptance.
And
You know what I
forgiveness is
mean?
not for the other person, is really for you.
Yeah, it's for you. And it's a sense of freedom behind forgiveness.
It is.
I
Because that
forgive.
person is no longer bound to you and how you feeling.
Listen, I once I finally forgave, old boy for what happened, I felt so free. I felt like a new woman. I had my confidence back. You know what I mean? Like forgiveness does not mean I forgive you and I know why you did that and we can no. I forgive you, but I ain't gonna forget.
Hmm.
But
And I think that we need to use that same thought into our trauma. I'm going to forgive those who traumatized me. I'm going to forgive myself for further involving myself in that trauma, but I'm not going to forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one with not forgetting, that then will lead into realizing the trauma when you see it. And either, like I said, some trauma is recognizable, some is not. And some, I can't stand her, y'all. And that we have to be aware of just how to move through it.
Yeah.
Girls, we got this ER.
That's right.
Mhm.
I really appreciate this conversation and this episode. This was really good. Do you think so?
I do, girl. I love it, love it, love it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. No, I really appreciate this conversation. I appreciate like your honesty and openness during this conversation.
You too,
Um,
girl. We getting there, child. We about to be open book.
Okay. And I think that somebody really needs to hear this. So y'all, make sure y'all are continue to support us. Follow us on Instagram at RFAR_pod. That's RFAR_POD. When y'all see this graphic, go comment on it. Comment something that you all took from this episode. And don't
Yes.
forget, we're on a road to get 400 plays. So go across any of our episodes on our platform, listen to the episode, comment, and we'll get you a prize. Okay?
Yes, and hopefully by this time, though, you guys see this. Hopefully, we'll already be at our 400. That's the goal.
Yeah. But the person, because ain't nobody comment yet, the person that listens to the most episodes and comments something about the episode will win a prize. Okay?
Let me go on my real Instagram page and then.
But until then, y'all know the motto. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you don't have any friends, go make some just so you can tell them about Rose from a Rock Pod. Y'all, I think Bianca's computer died, but it's okay because we was just about wrapping up. So she would say the same thing. We appreciate y'all for listening to this episode. Have a good one, and we will see y'all soon. Bye. And that's a wrap, baby. OMG, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you had fun listening. We hope that you were able to take something with you from this episode. And if you did, head on over to our Instagram page right now and tell us about it at RFAR_pod. That's RFAR_POD. Drop us a comment. Leave us a DM. We're family now. Until then, you know the motto. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you don't have any friends, go make some just so you can tell them about Rose from a Rock Pod. Peace out, y'all.